You're watching Betting Weekly Fight Life on the Bet Rivers Network.
Welcome to Betting Weekly Fight Life. I'm your host, Kyle Andrew, and joining me is Betting Weekly Studios resident fight expert, Paul Hughes. Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for the card. Last week was a fun card, pay-per-view, of course. And now we're back, not in the Apex, which is always a good thing for a fight night.
It's a good thing on so many levels, isn't it, right? Just the atmosphere of this is a good card to begin with. We have a lot of good fights on the card, but the fact that we have an audience to enjoy it with, it just really adds to the atmosphere and the excitement, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, definitely. We haven't done, obviously, the show's not long gone, so we haven't done an Apex card yet, but it changes a lot of things, like about watching experience and how you bet as well.
It really does.
Different cages, different everything.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't actually realize that they do fight in a small cage in the Apex, and that can really, really change the strategy of a fighter. And it's, if we're less exuberant on one of these shows in the future, it's because it's an Apex card, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So, but they're on the road this week. They're in Atlanta, Georgia at the State Farm Arena, and there's a great lineup of cards. And as we are wont to do on this show, we are always looking for the value for you. We're looking for the bets. We're looking for where you can find victories and wins, and where Bet Rivers has given us the edge that we can take advantage of. But before we get to Paul's best bets for this weekend's UFC event in Atlanta, Georgia, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the Betting Weekly Studios to get more Fight Life, and get notified of all the great betting shows on Betting Weekly, because there are a bunch of them. And you'll see over here, it's hard because everything's reversed. Throughout the show, you're going to see the ongoing profit loss of some of the shows, and it's something we record all the time. And it's a part of the whole experience. It's a part of the whole atmosphere. And why don't we dive right into the picks for this week? Paul, if you are ready, sir, why don't we get to the first fight? Of course, the main event of the night is featuring the old guard, Kamaru Usman versus a man on quite the streak, with quite the resume, Joaquin Buckley. What are you seeing happening in this main event, this 5-round main event for Fight Night?
Say Kamaru Usman, he's had a long layoff, so that's the first thing I mention.
Yeah.
When I was looking at the last fight, it was Usman's last fight was October 21st, 2023.
Yeah.
And Buckley's fifth last fight was also October 2023. So Buckley's had 5 fights in the meantime, and Usman's been off.
That's right.
All wins as well. So he's building up. The activity edge is obviously going to play a factor for Buckley here. Usman as well. He's not getting any younger. He's 38. That he mentions his knee problems. I think everyone mentions his knee problems now and then. So
how can you not?
How can you not? Yeah, I think it's going to be a good fight. What do you think about Usman coming into this one?
Okay, so this is one of those cases where your sentiment towards a fighter, and I think Kamaru is a very universally loved fighter. He's one of the great guys of the sports. He's, a full-time podcaster now as well.
Yeah.
A big fan of the man. But if you look at his age, 38, and set that aside, but then you look at his odometer, there's stories of him walking downstairs backwards to protect his knees. He has not won since he beat Colby Covington, which I think at this point is only counting as half of a win in the UFC. A long, long time ago. And in that time, what has Buckley won? Like 8 times, I think, since Kamaru's last win?
Oh, wow.
And is that all correct in me saying that
4 years, November 6th, 2021, since the Colby fight. And since then, I think he almost had about 10 fights, Buckley.
That's right. And so if you think about who Kamaru has actually fought, obviously their resumes don't compare. He's been fighting the elite of the elite, so he does get something of a pass for that. But I feel like he is at the stage in his career where this is a real referendum on Saturday night, and I don't think this shapes up well for him. I think this is not a terribly good matchup, but I don't know who is a good matchup for him at this point. He's got the warrior spirit, but I don't I don't see this going well for him, to be perfectly honest. I just think that a lot of the sentiment directed towards him right now is nostalgic and not realistic, and I can't see him pulling this out on Saturday night. Not against Buckley, not against the surge in power he's had, the surge in just his ability to dictate fights the way he wants them to go. I don't know that experience of Usman can do anything to stand up to that. What are your thoughts here still?
I mean, I'll give Usman a bit of credit. I think where the fight's going to come down to, it's going to play in ranges. Usman at range is probably going to find success at some level because Buckley at range has always struggled about no matter who he's fought. The thing is with Buckley, he closes the gap so well. And inside the pocket, Usman is very poor for like the standard of like the very top. That's always been like his weakest part of his game. And now coming into Buckley, who's going to be so explosive in the pocket and throwing and biting down on his mouth guard when he's throwing these punches. Is Usman at 38 ready to take bombs for 5 rounds? I don't really know about that.
And to your point about how well Buckley closes the distance and stuff, I don't think Usman has the quickness to do anything about that any longer. Like, it's one thing to be able to close a gap well, but it's another thing to be able to defend against that, and that does require sharpness and quickness that I think has left Kamaru. His body has betrayed him, and I don't know that he matches up well against that here.
I don't think so either. I think, again, Buckley, if anyone watched the Demetrius Johnson podcast, Buckley was on there recently, and they kind of touched on Usman's knees and how weak they are and how brittle they are. And he said like I can't remember, it was some YouTuber who's like 5'4" and about 10 stone soaking wet, had better, more healthy knees than Kamaru at this stage.
Wow.
And he looked that he's going to be throwing these leg kicks. And I think if he's going to be targeting those knees, he's going to be throwing those teeps. I think this is going to be like a really, really bad situation for Usman.
I say the same as you. I just don't see this. I don't see Usman looking good here. I don't see anything about the performance I'm expecting Saturday night to make us think he should continue this journey, because really, even if he wins this fight, what's it done for him? He's in a very, very tricky spot in the division. He's in a very, very tricky spot in his career. And if he's just collecting paychecks at this point, God bless him. I'll never not watch his fights. I'll never not be enthused about them. But my hope for him is that, through a camp, have they identified a way? There's a difference between identifying a way you can beat someone and identifying it in a way that's a realistic outcome potential. Like, we're talking about the paths to beat Buckley maybe, but can Usman even pull those off at this stage? I don't think he can.
I don't think he can. And again, if he's talking about that, what is Usman's path to victory here? Is it, if it's a KO, I mean, fair enough. If that's it, he's going to come out guns blazing. Do you really want to do that with Buckley? And I don't think Usman does. I don't think he will do that. He doesn't do that in many of his fights.
Right.
It's probably going to be over the decision. And then at that point, is he going to survive 5 rounds with Buckley chewing up those legs and Buckley surging into the pocket and trading with him?
I can't picture it. I don't see a win. I don't see a win potential for him here. I can't picture this going 5 rounds. I just can't.
I mean, you're saying that, and then if you look at the odds that Bet Rivers gave us, the under 4.5 rounds is -127, so it's pretty generous for a fight that you can't see going the distance.
Well, I don't see a path for Kamaru. Like, I don't know that he can lay on him and control him for a whole bunch of rounds too. And beyond doing that, I don't see him out striking him. Like, we have to look at the recent history as a factor here. And I can't see a path to victory for Usman. I'd love it if he surprised me. I would totally be on board for a bit of a resurgence in his career to keep him relevant at the top of the division. I don't think anyone would say otherwise, but I'm having a tough time picturing it.
I agree.
So what did you find for this fight? Where's the value here on the board?
I think the value's on Buckley to win by KO, TKO, or DQ.
Yeah.
Again, I think he's going to be surging in that pocket. He's going to be chewing up those legs, and I don't think Usman's going to be able to handle that. He's the new guard. He's younger. more in fight shape. He's been fighting in 5 times since Usman's last fight. All wins as well. I think he's just the more ready fighter, more ready now. And plus 155. Again, if he's going to finish him, it's going to be by KO. I don't think Buckley knows what submission is. So
you're right. This is, before we even got the odds, when we saw this fight posted, I feel like I've been leaning this way for weeks. Like, it's shortly after the announcement. I can't see it ending another way. I would hope it's not ugly. I would hope we see an upset here, but I think there's a ton of value here at plus 155 for this. And there's some other stuff on the board that you could take, but I just don't. Yeah, look at the sub odds. That's incredible.
He's never had a sub.
No, he never had a sub. It's incredible. I mean, yeah, taking a finish is pointless because he's not going to sub. So you take maybe one of those unders if you like that instead, and then you can include both men. But I'm just having trouble, matching those odds. You'd have to go to under 2.5, and I don't necessarily love that either because Usman is a warrior. So, yeah, Paul, I completely agree with you on this pick here. I think it's a solid pick to end the night and to start our show because I think we're seeing the emergence of Buckley, and I think we are seeing the twilight of the career of Kamaru Usman. Would you agree?
I agree.
I agree. There's not really a lot of debate to be had here. I mean, and if you watch popular opinion on this fight, it's pretty much mimicking what we're saying here right now. This is the way the Bet Rivers people expect this to go. This is the way, although I think they've left some good value on the board here. I think plus 155 over a 5-round fight. If this was a 3-round fight, I might look a little bit differently about it going the distance.
Again, yes,
Kamaru's approach would be very different, but over a 5-round, I just can't see this lasting 5 rounds, and I think you've made an excellent pick. And before we get on to the co-main event of the night, I want to remind you that you can, in fact, get exclusive Fight Life picks each week when you sign up for the free Betting Weekly newsletter. Go to bettingweeklystudios.com to sign up, and you'll get our free Betting Weekly Insider to your inbox each and every single week. Paul, you contribute to that newsletter, do you not? Are you not involved?
I do. It's a great one this week as well. It's the Club World Cup for the footballer soccer. It's a big tournament, the first one. Huge prize pools, a lot of big teams, a lot of picks from a lot of our handicappers. So it's definitely one you want to be signed up for.
Excellent. Well, I'm signed up for it too, and I take most of my advice from it. So they find the best odds on Bet Rivers week after week, all across the board, across many, many sports. And Betting Weekly Studios, of course, is something that is expanding rapidly. And here we are on Fight Life. Let's hop into fight number 2 on the board. Thug Rose back in the ring, facing Miranda Maverick. Saturday night, 3 rounds in Atlanta. What do you see here, Paul?
Not a whole lot, to be honest. I mean, Rose minus 250. Rose is someone I'm looking to fade at this stage in her career. In all honesty, I just don't know if Miranda Maverick's the person to fade her with. And spoiler alert, I don't think she's not going to be. I think there's just a clear skill difference.
Yeah.
I think Rose, her level of competition that she's fought, won, and lost is just obviously it's the best of the best. She's been a multiple time champion now. So, and again, Miranda Maverick, her last few wins, she has some decent wins. It's like a middling level where she's not beating the best, but she's beating the above average in the division, and Miranda Maverick somewhere in between. But I don't think she's going to be able to do much to Rose here. I think Rose is just going to be slowly picking her apart on the outside, just landing little shots here and then. Probably makes sense why Bet Rivers have the decision at minus 162. It's probably how this fight's going to go. Look at the under rounds, minus 625. Yeah,
I don't expect a lot of excitement in this fight. I don't expect a lot of surprises here. Again, this is very similar to the main event in that the resume, Rose Namajunas in this game is an old 32. She's got a lot of, and I'm not calling her an old person, but she's got a lot. She's been doing this for a very long time. She's got a lot of kilometers on the odometer, and she's been fighting and, winning or losing against the best that there is to face for years now. Miranda Maverick does not have that experience, and she has 1 win against a ranked opponent. This is a fight Rose should win. And really, a Miranda Maverick win would come down to what has she done and changed since her last fight? How has she improved? What can she do to overcome the experience of Rose Namajunas? And I don't know that I've seen anything from her side that would lead me to believe that would in fact be the case Saturday night.
I agree. I don't think there's much either. Again, Rose minus 250. It's not something I'm rushing to chuck in like a leg of a parlay, but I do think she wins a pretty high clip. Again, as you said, Rose's 32's like, it's pretty like surprising when you think about how long she's actually been in the UFC and how long she's been doing this. So she's had a lot of fights. Because again, as you said, a lot of miles on the clock. Not rushing to play Rose, but I don't think Miranda has the game to really be at. If Miranda's gonna show some value here, she's gonna be finding the takedowns early. And it's whether you think she's gonna be able to do that and like break Rose. I think Rose is just too smart. Too many of those situations she's been in and got out of before. Again, I'm gonna go with the Rose just winning here, but I don't have anything I'm looking to play on this fight.
No, and I think for me, I'd likely be passing on this fight. Maybe even as a viewer. I don't mean that seriously, but if there's a snack to be made, it's going to be made during this one. The thing is, if I'm having a good night already, things are looking good, I might sprinkle a little bit on a decision for Miranda Maverick, because should she win, with judges factoring in, taking 2 out of 3 rounds, squeezing out a 29-28, I could see it happening maybe under the assumption that she's continued to improve. But I don't know that I've ever observed anything in her trajectory that would make me really, really buy into what I've just said there. Like, I'm going to look at it come game time, but in advance, this one's a pass for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, again, but if Miranda's going to win, you got to think she's getting takedowns. Is the sub an option at plus 1,000? If you're thinking that way, bit of pizza money at the end of the night before the main event comes around. You know what I mean? I don't know.
So your official pick on this one is as well, I believe, to pass.
Keep the monies in the Bet Rivers account for the main event.
That's right. Just load up on the Buckley KO. Right. It's just This is like, just to even speak a little bit more about this fight. Even if Rose were to win this fight, what is it doing for her? Like, where does she go after here? Like, we don't like to speculate too far into the future, but she's at a very interesting point in her career right now, isn't she?
Yeah, I mean, she's lost to Fiorot and Blanchfield, which is both 2 of the next up. So again, where does she go? As you said, with a win here, does she fight someone like Macy Barber, who fell off the last card? I think that could make sense, but Barber might be forced to move up in weight. So again, you have no idea what's going on with Rose if she wins this. Bit of a tricky situation. Maybe the hunger is a question if that's how she feels as well. But again, it should be an interesting fight.
All right, let's keep rolling then into. This is actually quite an interesting fight in and of itself. Edmund Shahbazyan and Andre Petroski. Pretty decent pretty even odds across the board. Not like ultra even, but like there could be some value on the board here. And this is an interesting fight. It was interesting when it was announced. What do you see happening here tonight? Tomorrow night? Edmund, who is 27 years old, against Petroski, 34 years old. This middleweight fight. What do you expect to see?
I don't get how the unders might plus 107 and then the KO for Edmund is plus 148. I feel like them two are very in line. Because let's just say Edmund, he's had a lot of miles on the clock as well for a 27-year-old. Obviously, he's been in the UFC. I think it must be like coming up 5 years now, or maybe. I remember him coming in about like 22, and everyone's like, "This guy's the next one up." And then he had a few losses. I think he fought Derek Brunson, and in fact, the thing is, you kind of get my angle here. Derek Brunson's the only first round he's ever dropped in the UFC. And on one of the judges' scorecard, he still won the first round. He's never lost the first round on any other scorecard. And he's had a lot. I think he's had double check. He's had 12 fights, so that's quite a sample size at this stage. But Petroski, he doesn't really fight strikers, and when he does, the only fighter he is classed as a striker who he's fought in the UFC was Michel Pereira, and he was finished in the first round. And that's kind of where I'm alluding to this. Shahbazyan, he comes out fast, hot, and he's a finisher. And then he's won I think it's 86% of his wins are by KO. It worked out as
Mhm.
12 wins or something. He's a big hitter, and he's bigger, he's longer. I think there's a cardio situation though. He gasses, which is why if you think Petroski's gonna win, it's probably gonna be later. And I'm assuming that's why Edmund's not a lot. If he had a good cardio, it'd probably be up to like minus 300, yeah, minus 350. Like he has them covered.
Yeah.
But his cardio, man, it's a big worry for anyone wanting to be on Petroski.
Yeah, you really nailed it with that analysis there. I have in my notes here to keep an eye on if Petroski gets out of the first round, the potential for Shahbazyan to fade over, and you could potentially do something as an upset with Petroski at the end of the first round. But that's sort of a side note for myself, because I don't think that I see him winning this fight from any angle, because I do think Edmund Shahbazyan has the potential to run over him here.
And if Petroski's not going to try and drop that first round, I think he's going to be shooting a lot of takedowns, and he might gas himself out as well. I mean, he's proven to have like okay cardio, but again, is that what's going to happen? But I think Shahbazyan's, again, I think he's a level above. I think it's like the Rose fight. I don't think Shahbazyan's gonna be like a top of the top at middleweight, but I think he's above the outside of the rankings level Petroski type of fighters, and I think he's gonna prove it here. I think Petroski, again, as I said, he hasn't really fought any strikers, and Shahbazyan is a striker, and he's a damn good one at that. And I think the power he's gonna carry, I think he's going to put Petroski's lights out, and I think he's going to do it early as well.
So you think it's early. So what is your actual official pick for this fight, Paul?
Yeah, my official pick's Shahbazyan by KO, TKO, DQ, plus 148. Again, as I said, almost 90% of his wins are by KO. He's a big hitter. A lot of those fights are in the UFC as well. He has 7 fights in the UFC. 7 wins in the UFC, sorry. Again, I just can't get... Petroski's all three of Petroski's losses in MMA are by KO.
Yes.
So again, it's just like everything points towards one or the other. Again, if you don't like the Shahbazyan outlook, you could look at just Petroski decision plus 420, or maybe Petroski round 3 at a big number at Bet Rivers. But I think Shahbazyan's too big. He's too strong. I think Petroski's going to be hit. I don't think he's got like great defensive head movement. I think he's going to get hit, and Shahbazyan's got enough power to switch his lights out.
Yeah, I have questions about his chin, and then as you just alluded to, the head movement, that's a very bad combination. If he can be caught, Shahbazyan will catch him at some point. And then the question is how much of that could he possibly endure? I don't think it's a lot. And I think this fight is going to go exactly how you have predicted it's going to go. And
I hope so.
I think that's good value too, as well. Plus 148 on that. I think you've seen some good value there, and it's just one of those ones. Don't overthink it. This is what should happen on paper, and I think this is what will happen.
Shahbazyan's losses as well, like aged crazy well. Like Derek Brunson, we know he's like title level at one point in his career when he's at the peak of his powers. Jack Hermanson, he's up there. Nasruddin Imavov, probably going to fight for a title soon. Anthony Hernandez, Fluffy Hernandez, one of my favorite fighters in UFC. I think he could be champion in middleweight as well. Yeah. And then GM3, that's just a bit of a crafty vet loss, isn't it? Like, it is. He's very schooled and
I think you get an asterisk when you lose to him. It just happens so fast, right?
Derrida was on the way to losing to him, and then look at Derrida now. He's probably going to be the favorite against Robert Whittaker or Dan Leon. You know what I mean? So GM3 is a tough out.
Tough out. He is a very tough out. But I mean, it's not. This to me is one of those fights you just don't overthink it. You just look at the paper. Look at Bet Rivers is handing us this value, I think, and I think this is one you take, and I think you take it very confidently, and enjoy the fight because I think it has the potential to end very quickly and suddenly.
Yeah.
So,
but I think you're gonna look dumb if you take Petroski and then he just ends in the round 1. You're gonna be like, yeah, it's probably what was meant to happen. Edmund just KOs him in the first round.
That's exactly what would happen. You take Petroski by a decision, like, no, I think he can grind it out. And then, 3:43 into the first round, he's lying on his side and the referee's waving the doctors in. It's like, well, this is The odds exist for a
I
reason.
knew this. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I knew this was coming. All right, we got to keep moving through here, Jim. But if you do like the shows on Betting Weekly Studios, take a moment to follow the social handle at Because We Win, right, Paul? Both Instagram and X, or as some of you still and forever will refer to it, Twitter. You can find all of the information about all the shows on Betting Weekly right there on the social handle. And I guess I would actually be helpful if I put up the social handle on the screen like that so that people could follow it. It's like you got to do the ad read. You got to put the graphics up. But if they don't have the visual cue, how do they end up there, Paul? I just don't know. Let's keep moving through to the next fight of the night. Cody Garbrandt, Ronnie Barcelos. Again, you know, the money line here, they're not miles apart. What do you see happening?
It's an interesting fight. I think Barcelos is coming off a big win against Talbot. Do you know what I mean? Like the win, it's kind of like the Garbrandt situation. Like I think Garbrandt and Talbot are probably quite similar. Like got holes in the grab. But saying that, Garbrandt is not like that bad defensively taken down as some people make him out to be. I mean, Figgy in the first round, Garbrandt was stuffing him when Figgy was shooting in, and Figueiredo was he's top of the top. He's a multiple-time champion again. Barcelos, though, both older in their career. Barcelos, I think he's just too good. Yeah, he's just too good in the wrestling. That's what I think for Cody. I think that's why the wrestling the numbers so juiced on the money line, minus 200 now. And again, my thing is, if you see Barcelos winning this fight, he's going to get a lot of control time, like 15 minutes of control time probably. He's just going to be going for the takedowns. Then you look at sub plus 550. He's going to get a lot of control time. He's going to be landing on the ground. Cody doesn't like accept just like getting dominated on the ground. I think he's going to try and get up, and he might leave himself open. Like Barcelos latching something up. And then again, if this is playing out on the feet, Cody's chin isn't great. We know his chin's not great. He's been finished multiple times, and Cody's biggest asset is his striking. You know what I mean? Like Barcelos is like, you know, he's been finished before. I think Umar finished him in the first round, and Umar's. If you had said who has more power, it's Garbrandt or Umar. I think you're going with Cody Garbrandt. You know, he's proven it more. Like he's big hands, very skillful on the feet, and I don't see this fight playing out where someone doesn't get finished here.
Right, and you know, to add to that point as well, too, combined between these two fighters, 66% of their fights have not gone the distance. So, I mean, there's a bit of a tell there, too, when you put those two things together. Something does have to give. So
exactly, yeah. I'm looking at it. It was Umar as well, yeah. Umar finished him in the first round. Yeah, and if Umar's finishing you in the first round, I think Cody has some upside there. So, but then again, Barcelos' wrestling upside is huge. So, instead of taking this one to do this one to do this, and then feeling stupid when the other one cashes and you're sitting there with a losing ticket, I think the best way you can take this fight is just by taking doesn't go the distance or the unders. And I think you're going to be there's going to be at least multiple times in the fight where someone's hurt or someone's in the end in position. And I think we've seen that multiple times with Garbrandt. How many times does he get rocked before he gets finished? Or how many times does he rock someone? And then if he rocks Barcelos, he's going all in. And then if he goes all in and doesn't get it, he's going to be gassed. And then Barcelos is the one you have the advantage. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out, honestly. I think Barcelos minus 200 is probably fair. But I just like violence in this fight. I think it's going to be a violence fight. And fight doesn't go the distance, minus 125. That has to be the best play.
Yeah, I looked at this from as many angles as I could, and I'm not sure that, you know, I do think the BetRivers odds are fair, as you've just stated as well, but I'm not convinced one way or the other about who and how. But I'm fairly convinced based off of the math alone that this fight will not go the distance. I think you've called that one accurately. I think minus 125 is a pretty good number there. I think there's some pretty good value. And I would be shocked to see that. We'll revisit next week or maybe online together, but I would be shocked to see this go the distance as well, Paul.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Cody, he doesn't really go the distance. He's run the distance a few times, honestly, but again, at this stage of his career, can he afford a decision loss and just being moved out of everything? I feel like he knows he has to go for it. He hasn't fought in a long time as well. That's the thing I didn't touch on. Cody hasn't fought since UFC 300. Which is a while ago now.
That's a long time ago too. And also, you just also alluded to a lot of times they get in the ring, they get in the octagon, and they understand that this is a bit of a referendum on themselves and where they stand in the whole thing. And if you're coming out to make a statement and to prove, you're also leaving your chin out. You're doing a lot of things when you're pressing that could result in your ultimate detriment. And I think that could be the type of thing we see here. But I think just that pressing nature, Barcelos' age, I see them coming out. Someone's looking for a finish here. Someone's looking to end this fight early, and the 66% number really doesn't lie. So let's keep it moving into another fight. We have Mr. Abdul-Malik against Cody Brundage, and this one is, we're on this show to find value on the board, and at minus 770 as of right now, I'm not really seeing a lot of value here, Paul. What do you see? How do you see this fight playing out?
I mean, the numbers speak for themselves at some points, don't they? Cody Brundage is someone, again, I like to fade. I was on him on his last fight, actually. He had a win there against Marquez, who's also at the end of his career. But the thing about Brundage is, I don't want to, this feels rude to say, but he looks, I think if he finds a way out, he's going to take it. He's took it, and he's had a no contest and a DQ in his last two in his last 5 fights.
Right.
Against the Malkoum one and the Al Hassan one. Once things aren't going his way, I think he kind of again looks for an out, and if that's going to be Mansour Abdul-Malik landing him up against the cage and hurting him, he could just, do you know what I mean? He could just be like, it's not worth it, in type of thing. Mansour Abdul-Malik as well, again, even if Cody's coming in here fully prepared, mentally strong, and everything I'm saying is incorrect, maybe he doesn't quit, maybe he was just so badly hampered in those. Mansour Abdul-Malik is a bad man on the feet.
Yeah.
Again, he's a big power, big striker, longer, bigger, everything. And that's
huge
why
reach advantage here.
Huge. It's 7 inches or something.
Something like that, yeah.
He's going to just be picking them apart. Again, when you're looking at this, do any props or unders interest you? Looking at this, can you
look at the minus 315 on KO, TKO, DQ? That is a hell of a statement against Brundage. But this, to me, I'm not touching this one. I plan to enjoy it as a viewer. I'm not touching it with the wallet because this just really feels like a showcase fight for Abdul-Malik.
I'll reach in my wallet then. I'll place a little something in my wallet, and I'll look at Mansour Abdul-Malik in the first round by KO, TKO, or DQ.
Not even giving him a second round, eh?
Look at the under 1.5. I mean, that's only 2.5 minutes in a round.
Yeah, it's
2,
crazy.
And that's minus 215. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's 2.5 minutes into the round. Is Cody Brundage going to finish Mansour Abdul-Malik in the first round?
No.
And Mansour Abdul-Malik, I don't think he's going to go sub hunting. I think he wants to put on a statement here, and he wants to move up the rank. He wants to move up to the rankings type of conversation. And again, a big KO statement here. I think if you can get plus 130 on when the under 1.5 is minus 215 and the KO is minus 315, I feel like that's something you just might have to auto take. But Mansour Abdul-Malik, massive skill. I think he just covers Cody everywhere. Skill advantage, taller, bigger, stronger, longer. I think he's going to piece him apart.
Yeah, even just listening to your breakdown right there too has me kind of second guessing my thoughts on this. It's always difficult to pick in a professional fight someone to win so early and so violently, but everything points to that happening, doesn't it?
Yeah, it generally does. Look at the props and the run Cody plus 1900 for a decision.
Yeah, it's a little bit long, but that's a pretty good pick. Let's keep rolling here, Paul. We get to the next fight. We have on the board right now Alonzo Menifield and Umar Sy. Again, this is
all the same.
Yeah, it's like we just took the odds and flipped them.
Pretty much.
But this is what do you see here? Do you like anything about this fight from a bettor's point of view?
I think surprisingly looking at that plus 30, Alonzo Menifield hits hard. If there's one thing he's going to do, he's going to hit you, and he's going to hit you hard. If that's if he lands, it's a different story. Again, you can't. How wrong can you go at light heavyweight and a plus 1300 to win by KO? It can't be that bad, surely. You can it? No matter who's in the octagon.
It's kind of crazy.
It is
at light heavyweight, right?
Because has serious knockouts. So maybe that is line, I mean, he has 9 knockouts. You know what
There
I mean?
could be a sprinkle there, couldn't there? Just
There could be. Yeah, exactly. Again,
as you say, pizza
but
money, right?
the pizza money. Yeah, you got to pay for the pay-per-view somehow. What are
Yeah.
coming up this month? But again, Umasai, I think he's pretty good. Like I don't think he's gonna go all the way to the top personally. Like I haven't seen enough from him. Maybe he's gonna prove me wrong here. But again, as you see, minus 162 for a finish. But they don't know how they're gonna do it. The favoring sub. His wrestling's pretty good. His jiu-jitsu's pretty good. I think he's probably gonna go and look to take Menifield down, and I think he's probably gonna be able to do that quite easily as well. That's probably why 1300's on the KO. I think he's gonna take him down. Whether he's gonna start landing big shots at the top, or he's going to look for some sort of submission on the ground. I'm not too sure, but I see Umasai getting it done. I don't know how that is, but minus 162, that's not a price I'm willing to play.
Yeah, so you don't actually see anything on this fight to take. You know, there's a part of me that plus 1300 on a KO, TKO, or DQ for Menifield. Again,
how wrong can you be? How wrong can you be?
It's because of the division they're in, right? They're in light heavyweight, and it really just does take one punch to completely change the game.
I mean, look at the size of him on the graphic.
Yeah, look at the size of him in the photo. The graphic, the graphic, as you say, it's just like, you can't tell me that guy's not capable of a one-punch knockout. But the odds are the odds for a reason, right? And Menifield at 37 is fighting a significantly younger person with a lot fewer, miles on the clock. And it's a pass for me as well too. Truthfully, that plus 1300 on the KO for Menifield's the only thing I would bet on in this fight, and that would just be purely for fun, because it's not like it can't happen. It's not like he doesn't have a history of this happening. So I don't disagree with you there. And because, of course, we're both kind of agreeing on a pass in the last fight in the main card, we look to the prelims. Paul, you specifically look to the prelims to find some value, and that, of course, is in the fight between Michael Chiesa and Court McGee. Chiesa, 37 years old. Court McGee, 40 years old. Welterweight division. What do you like on the board here?
If you combine the ages, they're pushing Nigel Seeley there. But Michael Chiesa, his level of competition is a lot higher than Court McGee's. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
He is just minus 345. I didn't know there was that big until looking at it. Again, on the money line, if you're looking at that, is Chiesa just going to grind him out? The thing I like about Chiesa here is he has subbed people that have never been subbed before more than once. Mm-hmm. He is just very good at just finding that submission. Max Griffin, he subbed. Beneil Dariush, he has a submission win over. He has good wins, and again, he's a submission artist at the end of the day. Michael Chiesa, he's caught McGee at 40. He looked good in his last fight, but again, the level difference, the level of competition. Chiesa's 13-7 in the UFC. McGee's 11-12. Do you know, like, that's the type of thing, like, we're talking about, again, different levels. McGee, again, 40. How much is he going to regress? We're talking about Chiesa regressing at 37. McGee's 40 now. He's had some big losses in his career as well, whatever they came by across everything except submission. But he does get knocked. He does get knocked out. You know what I mean? He has 3 losses he has a lot of gruelers as well, like a lot of decision losses where he's been beat up. Court McGee, again, he's never really fought many people of Chiesa's level, and if he has, he's lost. And Chiesa, a lot of submissions on his record. I think he's just going to be able to take him down here, and he's, again, plus 123. That's assuming Chiesa's going to get a lot of control, a lot of grappling control. And if he's getting a lot of control, I like him just to finish the fight. And he's going to find a submission.
So you think there's the potential here for him to find a submission at plus 250, even though Court McGee has not been submitted?
Neither was Max Griffin or Beneil Dariush.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Just devil's advocate there.
Yeah, no, of course. It's Michael Chiesa. That's what he does. He has 12 submission wins. 12 submission
he's
wins
never been submitted, but he's also never tried to fight off submissions from Michael. So it's one of those ones where maybe the value lies in the fact that he has not been submitted, but there is a first time for everything, right?
Exactly. And I thought if there's going to be a time, there's going to be a time now.
Yeah, it's true. Like, eventually this will always catch up to people. We will always see someone succumb to it, and this is not really a great fight for Court McGee. And if it's going to end inside of 3 rounds, it certainly seems like a submission is a very good pick, Paul. Any other notes on this week's fight card? I think top to bottom, it's actually quite good, and I'm really looking forward to the crowd in Atlanta.
It's a fun card.
It's a fun card.
It's a fun card. Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I cut you off there. But it is a fun card in Atlanta. It is a fun card. I feel like every fight could generally be fun. If you look down the prelims, this isn't something that's going to have a lot of names. But again, if you're doing nothing on Saturday night and you just want to, I think all the fights are going to deliver. No matter, like, except the co-main, I think that's probably the worst fight of the night, honestly. But again, all the ones in the prelims, if you're just watching, you can watch them for free.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can see all the stats on Bet Rivers Live on the Sportsbook on the app. I remember you showing me that. Do you remember when it shows you live during the fights? If you want to pay attention to that on the Saturday night, you're not doing much. Again, I think it's going to deliver, but
yeah, the Bet Rivers app has really upgraded their fight presentation now, and it's actually quite lovely to follow alongside. Typically, I have it on an iPad or something next to me, or on my laptop next to me while I'm watching the fights.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I agree. This is just one of those moves by the UFC where they put one of these cards, they move it out of the Apex, they move it into a big arena. It really sells the show better. It really adds more to, like, as you say, there's not a ton of really big names on this card, but there's a ton of very good fights, and the crowd atmosphere in Atlanta is almost certain to add to that. Paul, before we get going, why don't you quickly run down what your picks were for this week? Don't go through the fights that you passed on, but let's just see what you're actually picking.
The main event, we have Buckley via TKO, KO, or DQ at plus 155. We have Edmund Shahbazyan plus 148 to win by KO, TKO, DQ. Mansour Abdul-Malik, round 1 KO, plus 130. And Michael Chiesa to win by submission at plus 250. We have a lot of finishes, hopefully. Oh, and also we have Garbrandt, Barcelos, not to go the distance. So we're expecting a lot of violence in Atlanta.
Yeah, well, that's what we can only hope for too, and it's a great lead in to obviously we'll be back covering next week's show in Baku, which for someone like yourself is in a actual time zone that you can manage your sleep schedule with. 3 p.m. Eastern, that one is kicking off, I believe. That's the main card at 3 p.m. Eastern, and the prelims, I believe they start at 12 noon Eastern, my time, the one true time zone. But for you, you get to enjoy the show a little bit earlier than normal, and we'll be recording and posting around the same time because we are right here on Betting Weekly every week presenting Fight Life. My name was Kyle Andrew. It's going to stay that way. I'm not sure why I would say my name was Kyle Andrew, but if I decide to change it for theatrical reasons for the show, you guys will be the first to know at home. But of course, I'm Kyle Andrew, joined by Paul Hughes. We'll see you guys next week as we present our favorite picks for the Baku card. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for watching Betting Weekly Fight Life on the Bet Rivers Network.